We're learning more about a task force built to investigate environmental crimes in Missouri. The Missouri Department of Natural Resources is bringing the Environmental Crimes Task Force back more than 25 years after it was disbanded. It will investigate larger cases where the crime has the potential to impact large groups of people or have a major impact on the environment. This can include everything from hazardous waste dumping to hacking that targets public water and sewer systems. The DNR and EPA will investigate, then work with Missouri Attorney General's office and also the U.S. Attorney's Office in Missouri to build and prosecute those federal cases.
The federal rules of court, so Federal Rule 6 for the federal court, it prohibits anyone who is not a U.S. attorney from reviewing grand jury information. And so this also allows the U.S. attorneys to appoint people, and I was one of these people back in the 90s when I was an assistant attorney general. I was also cross-designated as a special assistant U.S. attorney, really for purposes of sharing grand jury information for case development.
The director of the Department of Natural Resources shares that they are looking forward to working on this. The director says he hopes putting a spotlight on prosecuting these crimes will then deter these crimes before they happen.